Hello people, I hope you're all well. Men and women are fundamentally different. Despite what feminists say, you stand to pee, you sit to poo. Women do both sitting. You're competitive, you're goal-oriented, you want to succeed and compete with other men. They do so with women. You're opportunistic with sexual gratification and they're more selective. Men's earnings go to the woman, her earnings stay with her. Men seek female validation, women seek female validation more so than they do with male validation. If this wasn't true, the collective wouldn't be possible. Therefore, men are selfishly selfless and women are selfish, and only when children come to the mix can a woman aspire to be called selfless. Women are the primary limiting factor to reproduction. As such, nature has bestowed upon them multiple privileges and society reflects that in its laws. Men are bigger and stronger and generally in the history of mankind have held the key roles with regards to power. They created laws that controlled the reproductive nature of women and have loosened the grip of those laws when the situation arose to benefit themselves. Men and women are fundamentally different, almost as much as different species are to each other. Whatever the narrative and whatever our DNA code may code for, our bodies are different, therefore our behavior differs to enable reproductive success. This video is going to be more sciencey than the regular videos of this series because I want to explain these differences by taking you through evolutionary hypotheses as to why these behaviors came to form. The prologue of this video spoke about some minute differences between the sexes. There are of course more differences such as primary occupations where women generally choose fields that are more social in nature such as humanities and art. And men choose fields which are more practical, what we call STEM fields. There is also the selfless and almost disposable nature of most men when it comes to women, and in comparison the solipsistic nature of women. These are simply observations. As to why these observations stand true, we have to go deeper into the nature of reproduction. Due to the female's body, we find that women are the limiting factor of reproduction. Because the reproduction happens inside the body of a female, the man is never certain whether he is the father or not. Now, we have DNA technology so that we can easily ascertain who is the father, but taking away the secret reduces the position of a woman and her bargaining cards, and as such DNA testing has been controlled by the state in countries such as France, where it's more or less illegal to do paternity testing. This leads to the man's investment in a family to be invested in this woman and that woman's actions to be his responsibility as it was in the past. Understand this, in the past, in a committed and monogamous relationship, the children of another man ended up being raised by the husband of the wife, who was unaware of the children not being his. This risk was something that led to violence and jealousy against women. Even to this day, judging a woman's honor is something that seems to be frowned upon, even when there is evidence against that honor. However, a man makes a unilateral investment for which he needs to be certain that the children are his. If this is not the case, then he is investing in vain. And for the jealousy feelings to be almost linked to rage at times, it speaks wonders as to how pervasive was this behavior in the past. On the other hand, a woman's reproductive behavior is that of the best genes. She is to do a calculated risk assessment and see whether there is a chance of raising a child with another man. If this is possible, then she must obtain the best genes. She will of course prefer to have children with an alpha male rather than a man of lower genetic value, as she assesses it to be, because this way her children will get the best chance in this imaginary world of the African savannah. That's why strength, stature, deep voice, pronounced brow bridges are seen as attractive. A woman's best reproductive strategy has been termed in the PUA community as alpha fucks and beta bucks. The best reproductive strategy for women, what evolutionary psychology calls hypergamy, comes as a dualistic sexual mating strategy. The woman always wants to marry up, but marrying up means in terms of both status and also genetic ability. A woman will most likely settle for a better off than her mate, but if the opportunity arises and the risks are not too great, and in today's society they are minuscule, she will have sex with a more dominant male. This is the reality that is encoded in our genes. Speaking of course biologically, a man and a woman come together as a union in order to reproduce. Men and women want sex. The amount as to how much women need sex and how much men need sex can be summarized as follows. Studies have shown that men would jump on the opportunity to have sex with a good-looking woman who is unknown to them, whereas the same isn't true for women. Women require investment, whereas men's investment can be justified if it's carried forward by someone else. So in the savannah setting, a woman might end up getting knocked up by another man and rear that man's child without too much investment from him, or any investment from him at all, other than the 2 minutes of the sexual act. Realistically speaking, the instinct of men wanting multiple partners, much more than women do, is to enable a man to reproduce and make sure that at least one of the women who he slept with bears his children, and he doesn't end up providing resources for a child who is not his. That is why men have a wandering eye. Now, for the woman, a more successful reproductive strategy would be to have sex with a select cohort of men, selecting of course for the best genes, but also she needs to make sure that the child is reared successfully. You would assume that having one sexual partner makes sense, but in actual fact, having an invested partner raising a child of another partner would make much more sense. That's because men who have more alpha traits are more likely to have multiple partners, as they are prime genetic material who offers benefits to the next generation. Therefore, a woman is not likely to expect that that man would commit time and investment to her or her child. A woman will try, but even if she fails, she will still be happy if the man had sex with her. There are a multitude of examples and anecdotal evidence of men describing behaviors they get away with by many women. For example, a rock star or a famous actor will have multiple sexual partners, and though this woman will try and keep him captive in relationships of sort, when they fail, those women will still be glad that they had the rock star experience. This directly translates to the chance of obtaining his genetic material. The same does not apply when a lower status man tries to do the same thing. He can try, and men generally do try, and some of them successfully, but a woman will not approve of his behavior. Then the woman might get aggressive and vindictive, as the child or the next generation, along with her chance of surviving, may be endangered if the man is to invest his resources elsewhere. That's why jealousy exists for women. Even if that man is raising another man's child, the woman will try and guilt that man into providing for her. This is what I deem the solipsistic nature of women. This explains the nature of relationships between men and women. This explains hypergamy and also gynocentrism that exists around men trying to provide and protect women at every turn, as that could, in the past, provide favor with that woman and also a chance in reproducing and having a child. At least one of the children would be eventually yours. Women and men get jealous over different things. Men get jealous when a woman is sexually promiscuous, and women get jealous if a man is emotionally promiscuous. A man will get angry over sexual infidelity a lot more than an emotional one, and a woman would do the vice versa. The truth of the matter is that both sexes will get angry at both, because emotional infidelity for women usually means sex, and sexual infidelity for men usually means an emotional infidelity, and as such, resource investment from the part of the man. It is no surprise that women who choose to have casual sexual partners try to have partners who are likely to pay for things, so as to justify their investment in resources and also the risk if those women are married or something like that. Something that was valuable if the woman was to get caught in the past was for that woman having the ability to last a bit longer or have the chance to survive if that man was to invest more resources in her. Now, the world has largely changed, but our genes that code for these behaviors haven't. 100 or so years of modern civilization, along with the products of modern medicine that allow for full reproductive control, have not coded for appropriate behaviors in our DNA yet. And they're likely to not do so for at least hundreds of thousands of years. Therefore, we still behave as if we're living in the African savannah with regards to our reproductive strategies. So what do men want and what do women want? We can have wordy answers here, and men can write essays about these things as men have in the past. Men often state that women are insane and want absolutely everything from them, because the investment expected from a male is in terms of resources. Only for the select few men the investment is only expected to be in genetic material, whereas for a man, he wants sexual access and no infidelity from his partner so as to secure his genes. This encodes for the behaviors that we currently have and is the reason why men are generally more violent in cases of infidelity. It is because in the past this could mean evolutionary doom. Therefore, a man showing aggression might tip the scale towards the woman not cheating, and as such a risk assessment being strongly in favor of not sleeping with that better looking specimen of a man that was courting her. The reasons why I'm explaining these truths are because I want men to understand the nature of relationships that exist between the sexes and the fact that mating strategies of both sexes are at war with each other. This also explains why certain behaviors are attractive to women along with certain looks. Nothing of course beats status and resources, but it is essential to understanding that the behaviors of what I'm listing in this series thus far are behaviors that instinctively convey your status to a woman. This is why feminists hate many of the things spoken out loud in the manosphere, as they expose out in the open their long-held secrets and the way in which a person may take advantage of those secrets. If a man hacks hypergamy, as TFM very nicely put it in his last video, then it conveys that a lower status male can get access to a female partner that is, in female terms, too good for him. However, the social conditioning of present time has already pushed a lot of men to display attributes that women of the past have only found in lower status males. This almost creates a dichotomy between men, between the men who get way too much sex and men who get almost minimum access to sexual partners. This is a reality that leads to general unhappiness between the male population, increases in violence between men, and the end of the reproductive line for many more men. This should not ideally speak of anything at all, as individuals that should not matter to us. However, this video serves to explain the sexual dynamics as they exist, the modern environment and how it affected things, and how social structuring has influenced men, and why the gender war is being waged on both fronts. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you again for listening. See you later.